My name is Jiles Smith, and welcome to Our Community.
Firefighters, they commit themselves to putting themselves in danger and to protect somebody else.
Right.
But there are situations we interact with, even in the administration level, which might be professionally and personally challenging. And sometimes the easiest thing is to let it go,
Right.
and to not do the right thing. And in our case, I push that all the time. You have to, when you're dealing with issues and people and whether personnel or programs, you have to be willing to do the hard thing, and that's courage. Integrity simply is right is always right. This idea that integrity actually is a compass and there's a true north,
Right.
and that compass doesn't change depending on the situation you're in. That's big for me. I don't like the situational ethics, and
Right.
that seems to be the popular thing today as well. Depending on the situation you're in, that could be right. No,
Yeah.
probably not.
Right, exactly.
There's a right way to do it. And then service. We serve 18,300 square miles, and there probably isn't a time or a meeting that I have with staff or the firefighters that we don't mention the challenge of being the small town community fire department for a Forest Falls or a Lake Arrowhead or a Wrightwood or an Angeles Oaks or a Yucca Valley, and be the largest department in the county,
Right.
one of the largest departments in the state. And so that's our challenge, is to be that small town service provider. Community for us is another commitment of the department, and community is a value to us as much as it's a location. Community isn't a place, community is a value, and that includes the commitment we have to serve, with
Mhm.
the service being the key. These small, really seemingly small areas of about over 20,000 square mile county, but our jurisdiction about 18,300 square. One of the things that I push my staff on, and myself as hard as anybody, is if we're doing things the same way we've always done them, it better be because we looked at the right way to do things, and the way we're doing it is the right way.
Right.
In other words, we can't do it the same way we've always done it because we've always done it that way. We better only be doing it that way because we're interested in looking at the right way to do things, and it just so happens that the way we're doing it, after close inspection, is the best way to do them. That goes against the grain of the fire service has had this terrible reputation, and we hear it at meetings occasionally, is 200 years of tradition unimpeded by progress. It's our mission here as a premier fire service provider to always look at the way we're doing them, and then make changes in the way we do things based on our assessment. So maybe a close self-assessment, regular organizational assessment, and continue to look at the new and better ways to do things. We have a workforce coming in right now that technology is huge for them, and we're not a technology-driven business. We're getting better. In fact, the gentleman that I was speaking to just earlier today was talking to me about where we are and how we're moving forward. The electronic patient care reporting that we're moving towards, and the ability to monitor vehicle location in the county and respond to the closest resource, the ability to talk between this patient care reporting and the modem on the unit, and then straight to the server, and so we're getting information on a real-time basis back to the stations, and then even out to billing companies and ambulance transporting.
Right.
So there's better. My position is there's better ways to do it, and we'll never get there. Fortunately, we'll never get where we need to be. It'll always be a process, and we'll just keep working at it, just keep pushing ourselves. In many cities, you know what your risks are, right? And they're pretty tangible. In a county of in a jurisdiction of 18,300 square miles, which we serve, we have vast areas of desert. Our primary challenges out there are our transportation challenges. We have rail corridors, we have hazardous materials, we have the pass in which we have not only rail, we have freeway, automobile transportation, vehicle transportation issues. We have pipelines that run through the pass, and of course one of the biggest issues we had was a broken pipeline in the Musqueam area, one of the biggest calls we had in the last 20 years. So I think it's just the vast differences in geography.
Right.
We have mountains, so we have ice rescue teams, but we also serve the desert where we don't really have ice rescues. They might work at a station and have to be able to do ice rescue with all the equipment that's involved with that, and then the next day they're working in the valley where there's a high-rise challenge. And so many departments that have high-rise challenges don't have at the same time an ice rescue challenge.
Right.
So the importance of these firefighters knowing how to do so many things, perhaps here is magnified more than any other district that I'm aware of. We regionalize many of our services. You mentioned all the services. We're an all-risk department, so not only is wildland firefighting a big responsibility of ours because of the interface, we also have challenges with hazardous materials emergencies, and so we have a hazmat team that's highly trained.
Second to none.
Second to none. We have a tech rescue team. We're a regional California state regional rescue task force recognized by the state, so that not only can we serve our area here in San Bernardino County, but we can also be called on by the state to use our expertise. So the training that goes involved in that, the readiness, of course, not only does the county here benefit, but also throughout the state. We have an EMS program, and again, since it's literally almost 80% of the calls we go on, over 67% of our productive hours are meant delivering medical care in some format, out of hospital care. Sometimes transport, sometimes just first response from paramedics and EMTs. Very important, and we're the second largest ambulance provider in the county. So the delivery of ambulance service and transportation of these patients to the hospital. Many times we're following up in a private ambulance, and other times we're transporting them ourselves. All risk for us means you name it, and you don't know where it fits. You're going to call the fire department. Expect us to
Exactly.
Expect us to solve the problem.
Because you think about it,
We're in a partnership with the sheriff's department right now, and a lot of those inmates that were sent back to jails that the state was using in hand crews, we're now using in our hand crews.
Right. So
now we're part of our wildland division, as big as that division is. We have dozer operators, so you're a firefighter, but if you're a heavy equipment operator, you have a passion or a background in that, we'll put you to work on a dozer, a fire dozer. We'll put you to work, supervising hand crews and cutting a fire line. You like EMS, or you got in for the paramedic side, we'll put you to work. That's certainly my passion, is the EMS side of it. If you want structure firefighting, or you want to rescue, we have a gentleman who really developed the rescue program, put us on the map, and continues to be the one who people call when they're looking to set up a program. So it's just, and maybe it's the geography and all the things that we might be called to do rail emergencies. And we had a call not too long ago where there was a rail accident, and we had to call a surgical team out from the hospital to amputate, do a field amputation. I always say I'm a senior firefighter, so my expertise is firefighting. I've got great ideas, but I don't always have the expertise to get those done. I surround myself with, if I've got a legal question, I go to legal. If I have an HR question, I find that county HR has the best strategies to do it. So we sat down with county HR, just 2 weeks ago, and we said, this is our interest. It's to hire a more represented workforce and to make those opportunities available for people that might not know how to get in. And the fire business is pretty interesting. If you don't know how to do it, and you don't, we've set our qualifications at a level that I don't know has allowed everybody to get in. In other words, if you
not intentionally,
no,
you just strictly.
You have to have, so for instance, you have to be an EMT and you have to have a fire academy.
Right.
Well, what we've done is we've said, get those things before you get in. Well, as an organization, we've said, what if we were to open it up a little more broadly, spend a little more time after we get them in and train them through an academy and train them through an EMT program. Well, then you get back to what some of these, San Diego City, LA County, they do a 18 years of age, high school diploma, California driver's license. And so they say, no, that's not restrictive. So let's cast a wide net.
Yeah.
And then let's get the right person. And when I say the right person, I don't typically think of this. I think of this.
Right.
We're getting people that certainly can learn it, but I'm looking for people. I'm looking for character. And so that's important for me. This you hire for the heart. I'm much more inclined to have an issue with somebody 10 years to their employment because they treat somebody wrong or they have integrity issues than whether or not they can pull a hose line into a burning building or start an IV or carry a hose bundle up a flight of stairs or do structure protection on a structure or wildland fire. I'm going to have issues because of their heart. So I say, let's hire the right people.
Right.
Let's hire character. They have to be capable, but we have a GED, right? We can train. Now, does that mean people don't fall out? No, in any fire academy, people fall out. I don't care if they come in with a fire academy, they fall out.
Right.
So it's throwing those interests over to county HR and them saying, for instance, just met with them, Tammy, one of their specialists down there, and Patty, and they said, we hear you, and I think we can help you on this. Let's get some focused fairs. We can go out to the groups that aren't represented. If you're not getting in front of them right now, we can create targeted events where we go to people who, and are they interested? I don't know.
Right.
But you can present the opportunity. And then you minimize restrictions. Does that mean you water it down? No, it doesn't mean you water them down. It means that you're going to have to spend more time after you get them to train them to be an EMT, to be a firefighter, put them through a fire academy. So I think there's some great opportunities. I think where we always thought that, how do you do it if you require EMT or paramedic, or how do you do it if you require a fire academy? Well, maybe the simple answer is you don't require those.
Right.
Maybe you say, no, let's pull back a little bit, because one of the hurdles to anybody becoming a firefighter is being able to live at home, be supported, and maybe not live at home, but be supported in some way. It's a full-time job to go through a fire academy.
A single ember that escapes from a wildfire can travel more than a mile. That single ember can ignite and destroy your home or even your community. You can't control where the ember will land, only what happens when it does. Get FireAdapted now at FireAdapted.org.
Let's talk about the new fire station in Angeles Oaks. I actually went out to that location and filmed it. Just talk about that. In this department expanding different locations, or what's going on?
Yeah, not so much as far as expanding. What we found is Angeles Oaks is what we call a paid call station. We don't have any career firefighters at that. And having the responsibility to cover 18,300 square miles, we can't put a career firefighter in every community. It's cost prohibitive. We don't have the tax base to do that. So even with the county support, and I say that because the county general fund subsidizes the fire district. The fire district is a standalone, we're board governed, but we are a taxing entity. And we get help from the county board of supervisors and the CEO and the general fund to the tune of about $20 million. So out of a $180 million budget, about $20 million of that is from the county general fund. It's above and beyond what we generate in property taxes. So the board recognizes this responsibility to provide this service, but we're doing it in areas that don't have tax base to do it. In many cases, we do that with paid call programs. Mm-hmm. So we have this, Angeles Oaks had a very old, aging, it was really was, I don't know if you could call it a station, needed to be upgraded. Those stations in those paid call communities that don't have professional firefighters, they act as community centers too. So it's really a rallying point to not only hold community meetings, but these able-bodied men and women who want to help serve the community, we can give some basic training to in firefighting and medical response, and they can hold the community over until a full-time resource can get there.
Makes sense.
in a big emergency. And in an emergency where there's just not enough resources to go around, a flood, a snowstorm, a earthquake, a large fire, they end up not only being the first line of defense, they end up being the only line of defense. Right. And so you look at a community like Angeles Oaks, that gets into that service and community challenge for us is how can we serve the community of Fontana, which is a large urban, suburban city, metro setting within the county of San Bernardino, and at the same time be the small town community fire department for Angeles Oaks. It's through paid call programs like we have, very active in Angeles Oaks. So seeing them thrive and serve so well. Community of Forest Falls right down the street, same way. Right. Very active, ends up being just a pillar for us in the community, and then provides a service that we can't out of a professional station. Now, we'll send a professional engine at a Mentone, which is the closest professional engine. Big Barrel send mutual aid, and they provide the medical response, the ambulance transport. They're the ambulance transport provider there. Until we can get there with a professional response, a 24-hour day, 7-day-a-week response, it's that community that really serves themselves with a lot of support. This building was a long time in coming for them, and it'll really provide them the tools to continue to provide that service even better into the future. And it's a beautiful facility, cost effective, but beautiful for sure. Yeah.
Battalion Chief Dan Munsey.
Yes, sir.
Here on Our Community.
We're at Richard Sewell Training Center today. This is where our special operations is housed. Special operations includes training, EMS, our hand crew program, we go with our paid crew and our inmate crew, helicopter operations, bulldozer operations, as well as safety. So today we're going to walk around and look at some of our training that's going on. We have an LT recruit. An LT is a limited term firefighter position, an entry-level position. We have a recruit class coming in. This is our last day of the academy. Next Monday, they're going to start in the field, so I'll show you guys around.
Outstanding. Thanks. Key is that most people who want to become a firefighter just need to know the process to do it.
That's right.
And you're always hiring good people, but the process is the key.
Key is you want to hire the best individual you can to train to be a firefighter.
Right. So what else goes into it besides strength and intelligence? Did you have to have courage? I mean, how do you measure courage?
You know, I think it is you have to control fears. And courage comes in many, many forms. It's being brave to do the right thing, which can mean simply that you're going to climb a tower and rescue a victim. That takes a little bit of courage. But also looking at a situation and realizing it's too dangerous to undertake that situation.
Right.
And being able to tell your guys, a company officer, telling his guys, look, we're not going to go save that person. It's going to jeopardize all our lives. That's a different type of
That's a hard call right there.
It is. It's a very tough call. And we're trained to run into a building and save people, and it really takes a different mindset. It's one that the fire service is embracing more recently. It's the hardest type.
Yeah, I can imagine. Imagine telling you guys no. You hear a young girl in there screaming, and having to say no.
We're going to do everything we can
to save.
Absolutely. But at the same time, we can't. If we're going to go to a situation, it's not going to have any survivability for the rescuers.
Yeah.
And Donnie Glory could tell you for a fact that something like 70% of deaths in a swift water rescue situation is the rescuers themselves, not the victims. It's the rescuers going in for the victims. So you have to evaluate what you're doing. It's a risk versus gain procedure. What are we risking? What is the gain? So we'll risk a lot to save a lot, but we're going to risk very little to save a little.
Right. And you're right. That's a unique form of courage, and also be able to see something like a young baby who actually can't breathe anymore, and to see that happen in front of them. That's different.
It is rough. And there's several types of training to mitigate that incident. First, your paramedic training. You're training to work as a crew, so every crew member knows exactly what they're going to do, and so you're a well-oiled machine to give that baby the best chance of survivability. But then on the backside, these firefighters that go through these incidents, they carry that home to their families.
Yes.
Some of the most difficult calls that I've been on have involved children, and then I would go home to my children that are the same age.
Yeah.
It tears you up inside. So that's the other aspect of the training is how do you deal with these emergencies?
Right.
And to realize that we're all tough individuals, but sometimes you need to ask for help.
Yeah.
How do you deal with it?
You're gonna need help after that situation. That's rough, you know. being in the Army, we see a small amount of that, but normally it's helping out your fellow guy in your team. And I know young people who want to become firefighters, they may not understand that being on a team is so important, such as a track team or a football team, baseball team. That camaraderie that you build, you're going to need it in this kind of line of work. You got to trust those guys next to you.
Absolutely trust them. And you're only strong. It's so true that you're only strong as your weakest link.
Yeah.
And you're also very synergistic as a team.
Mm-hmm.
Two individuals can complete much more than two separate individuals.
Exactly. You got to get that in your head as well and work as a unit. Yeah.
You know, that's probably the number one question I get is why does the fire engine follow the ambulance to a medical emergency? The ambulance is what's needed, right?
Right.
Well, it's the team. When you arrive at a heart attack, we're trained to have 4 people in that medical emergency. Every one of those individuals has a job.
Right.
The ambulance only has 2 people. They have paramedic and they have the EMT that's driving.
Right.
When you arrive to a medical emergency, if you're missing half your team, you're going to be less than half effective.
Right.
That's why the fire engine goes first.
And you never know what you need. I mean, no use to going there with 2 and you end up 4. It could be several people down.
You're right.
You never know.
That happens sometimes. For instance, the common one would be somebody shot. There's
Right.
been a gunfight. Well, they don't want to call 911 so there's a gunfight because guess what? The fire department's going to show up, but who else is going to call?
The cops, yeah, they
The
don't
cops.
get,
So,
you're right.
so then instead of telling us someone's been shot, they'll say so-and-so fell. So when you arrive with 2 people thinking somebody just fell and they've hurt themselves,
Right.
and find out that no, there's somebody bleeding out, or multiple people have been
Leading
shot,
out, yeah.
you need your team there.
Right. You never know. See, it's amazing to me that we pay taxes, and for what you guys do, we pay a minuscule amount, to be perfectly honest. But when we call, we got to make sure that you guys are 100% ready and trained. We joked earlier about, can you pick me up and carry me out of the building? I have no doubt that if I call, you guys will be able to take care of the situation. And that's what we're paying for.
That's right.
So we have to get as citizens, we have to get our heads right about, what are we willing to pay to protect each other? I'm willing to pay a lot, so you guys deserve everything you got. So.
Appreciate it. And one of the things we really emphasize is safety. So unlike a normal rock climber, he might only use one rope and be in control of himself as he lowers. You can see here that we're using 2 ropes and that he's being lowered simultaneously by both ropes that are being controlled. In this case, he's doing a pick operation. The firefighter on the bottom needs to be rescued. He's playing the role of that person that may be trapped in a window seal or up on a power line. The firefighter at the top, that's just come down. He's now going to attach to that firefighter. He's going to rescue him off this tower. All the firefighters are involved in this operation. They have some sort of fall protection. You can see all the instructors near the top. They're connected to the tower so they cannot fall.
There you go, same exact thing.
Whether you're an instructor or student, you're going to be wearing your full safety gear. In this case, they're wearing their helmets, leather gloves, their steel-toe safety boots, long sleeves.
Then make sure all your carabiners are locked. Nice.
So this is basic training. These firefighters that are involved in the evolution, this is all very new to them. This is the first time they've ever done this. The firefighter that's been on the floor, he's going to be very proficient. This operation is going to last a couple of minutes, or it's going to take the students here several minutes.
There you go, just let it dangle out of your way. Beautiful, thank you. All right, transition him onto your system by pulling down. We're
The instructor at the top in the orange helmet, training officer Donnie Valoria, he's part of our urban search and rescue technical rescue team. He goes all over the state and teaches technical rescue. We have a regional task force which consists of 29 members, and we're available statewide as a mutual aid organization to go help in the event of emergencies.
Is it loaded too much? I'll tell you what, take your pickoff strap, okay, and release it. Put slack back in the pickoff strap.
You seem to have very good coaching out here, right? Is that, you just talked about that, but certain professionals who travel the state, but seem to be extremely competent in these tasks. Are these guys retired, or they've just been doing it for a long time?
No, Donnie Bloor at the top there, he's currently employed in the training center as a training officer. He's one of our better instructors. He understands the methodology and instruction. Right now, he's really dictating to the firefighter exactly what that firefighter needs to do.
Step by step.
That's the first stage in teaching. He's very directive. As the firefighter becomes more and more proficient, he's going to go to a supportive role, and then pretty much near the end of his training, he's going to be hands-off. He's just going to be simply observing for safety.
See if pulling up from his waist helps you. Because pulling down doesn't seem to be helping at all. Now make sure it's not twisted. Make sure that's flat, right? Because you won't be able to pull twist through the strap. So get it all untwisted. There you go, nice and flat. Now see what you can do with that.
The exact same. We outlined it. Very much for this review of the training center today.
Well, I appreciate it. It was fun showing you around.